There are sounds in this world that, speak to an old part of us, don't they? An eagle's cry, a wolf's howl, and this, the silence. The sound of a king's footsteps through his forest, heavy and trembling. A crown is not necessary for him. The mountain is his kingdom, and the wild is his throne. Ursus arctos horribilis is the terrifying moniker we gave him. The Grizzly. We have been telling stories about him for centuries. We have portrayed him as a monster, treated him like a god, and driven him to the brink of permanent extinction. But what if the most incredible story is the true one? What if his strength surpasses your wildest expectations? Is his past etched in this continent's bedrock? And one of the most significant stories taking place on our planet right now is his struggle for survival. It's not just an animal here. This pertains to our identity. We will embark on an adventure into the world of the grizzly. We'll dissect the past, marvel at his might, and truly comprehend the abilities that make him an expert in his field. So take a seat. Let's explore the core of this animal's extraordinary qualities. Before delving deeply into the North American grizzly, it's critical to keep in mind that he is a member of a vast international family. One of the most common land mammals on the planet is the brown bear, Ursus arctos. And there are some really outstanding people in that family. His larger cousin, the Kodiak bear, can be found on Alaska's coastal islands. These are the biggest brown bears in the world, with some males weighing over 1,500 pounds and are fed by an almost limitless supply of salmon and marine life. They serve as evidence of what can be produced when the right conditions and a lot of protein are present. The Eurasian brown bear can be found in Europe's old forests on the other side of the ocean. They have a centuries-long complex history with humans. They are generally smaller and occasionally shyer than their North American cousins. They have been hunted to extinction in some cultures, revered in others, and are now slowly making a resurgence in the more untamed regions of the continent. And the most endangered of all, the Gobi bear, lives in the harsh, dry Gobi Desert, a ghost of the desert that demonstrates the extraordinary adaptability of this amazing species, a tiny, remarkably resilient population that makes do on nearly nothing. The brown bear has managed to survive in both the blazing desert and the frozen tundra. However, it was in North America that it was put to the ultimate test and turned into a legend. You must return if you truly want to see the grizzly. Back in the day, the brown bear entered a new world from Asia 50,000 years ago after crossing a land bridge, a giant's world. Saber-toothed cats and short-faced bears, this was a dangerous neighborhood. The brown bear had to adapt to live. It had to grow larger and more resilient. The grizzly took over. And they flourished for thousands of years, my goodness, as they were interwoven with the land's spiritual fabric. The grizzly was a relative of the first peoples, a creature of great strength and intelligence. Numerous tribes believed that grizzlies were excellent healers who possessed potent medicines. The bear dance, a ceremony performed in honor of the animal that taught the Salish people so much about the secrets of the earth. They served as teachers, guardians, and a portal to the afterlife. Then the perspective shifted. A new culture emerged that viewed the wilderness as a frontier to be conquered rather than as a place to call home. And the grizzly was regarded as the biggest challenge on that frontier. You can sense Lewis and Clark's astonishment when they first wrote about the grizzly. This was a monster to be destroyed, not an animal to be revered.
And that one thought sealed its doom. It was an extermination war. They went from being 100,000 people to a few hundred ghosts, struggling to survive in the most isolated areas of the mountains. They had lost their empire. The extent to which we nearly lost them is difficult to describe. It was a last-ditch attempt to preserve a living piece of the American soul when the grizzly was eventually protected under the Endangered Species Act in 1975. The idea was to establish recovery zones, lifeboats, similar to Glacier National Park and Yellowstone. and a silent, challenging battle to bring them back has been going on for half a century. And the most well-known wild bear in the world may be the face of that fight and the face of contemporary grizzly conservation. Grizzly 399 is her name. She is a living legend to those who follow the wild story. She was born in 1996 and has spent her entire life in the spotlight under the majestic Tetons. She truly is a matriarch. She has successfully raised several litters of cubs during her lengthy life, making her a resilient symbol and an example of what can happen when we choose harmony over conflict. Her extraordinary ability to navigate our world is what makes her so unique. Seemingly conscious that human presence provided a peculiar kind of protection from large male bears that could prey on her young, she has reared her cubs along the roadsides of Grand Teton National Park. As a wild ambassador who caused traffic jams with adoring photographers, she rose to fame by the side of the road. She gave birth to 4 cubs in 2020 at the advanced age of 24, a rare and renowned event that attracted international attention. However, her story is more than a fairy tale. It's a practical lesson. We have learned from her about the difficulties of connectivity and the necessity of safe routes between untamed areas. In bear country, she has made us face our own actions. She has evolved into more than just a bear. As we follow her through her golden years in 2025, she represents hope. Her tale demonstrates that these creatures are not monsters, but rather sophisticated, multifaceted beings vying for recognition in a world that has left them with so little space. However, intelligence and hope are supported by an incomprehensible amount of power. All of the statistics and information you've ever read seem to vanish when you see a grizzly in the wild. A brown bear from the coast can weigh more than 1,500 pounds. He can grow to a height of more than 9 feet when standing. That enormous hump on his shoulders is his most recognizable characteristic. It's not fat. That is the engine. He has a lot of muscle that allows him to flip a 300-pound rock in search of moths. He has unimaginable force. Then comes the bite. 1,200 psi or so. That is sheer crushing power. The purpose of the bite is to break a moose's spine, rather than cause cuts. Take a moment to process that. But what does it feel like to be one of these animals? Imagine for a moment. We'll refer to him as the patriarch. He is a boar in his prime, 15 years old. The seasons and his stomach rule his lonely world. Dawn is when his day starts. He gets up and uses his nose to read the news. As his first action, that amazing nose alerts him to the presence of another male, the passing of a female, and the ripening of berries over the ridge. He constantly weighs the risks and rewards throughout his day. Real fights with other men are only used as a last resort because they are a waste of valuable energy. He eats up the miles with a cunning, rolling gait, grazing on clover here and digging for squirrels there. Yes, he is the king, but he has a difficult life. He is constantly and unrelentingly looking for the fuel that will power his enormous body. He finds a high ridge as evening falls. He watches, not just sleeps. His memory maps every opportunity and every change as he looks over his kingdom. But the male's lonely life is only half the picture. Life is an entirely different experience for a female sow. It is a story of courage, sacrifice, and education.
Here, in the shadows, it starts. During hibernation, she gives birth to remarkably small cubs that weigh no more than a pound, are blind, and are almost hairless. While her own body fasts, she will nurse them in this semi-slumber for several months, giving them rich, fatty milk. At her own expense, it is an amazing gift of life. The world is a horrifyingly dangerous place when they finally come out in the spring. Protection is her top priority. Her young are at risk from wolves, mountain lions, and sadly, big male grizzlies. In an attempt to reestablish estrus in the female, a male bear may attempt to kill cubs that are not his. Her life is therefore one of perpetual watchfulness. She must always keep an eye on her cubs while finding enough food for herself to produce milk. Every choice has life or death consequences. She serves as their only instructor for the following 2 and occasionally 3 years. She teaches them how to dig for biscuit root, which berries are safe to eat, and how to peel back a pine tree's bark to find insects. She teaches them how to fish and hunt. Most significantly, though, she teaches them survival skills. They learn how to be bears from her. She is a tender nurturer as well as a fierce protector. After years of continuous company, the most difficult lesson of all is learning how to be by yourself. She will frequently eject her cubs without warning. Although it may appear cruel, it is a necessary act. The freedom to discover their own place in the world is the last gift she gives them. One litter at a time, the matriarch saga is the unsung, silent tale that guarantees the species' survival. Additionally, the female bear's devotion to her cubs and the male bear's quest for calories are all preparations for hibernation, one of the most amazing natural phenomena. It would be an extreme understatement to refer to it as sleep. It is a marvel of biology.
Its heart rate will decrease from 40 beats per minute to as low as 8 once it is inside. It won't eat, drink, or expel waste for as long as 6 months. How does it manage to live? It possesses a superpower. It recycles its own waste products. Its muscles and organs are maintained by a complex process that transforms toxic urea back into useful amino acids that are used to create new proteins. It is literally rebuilding its body from the inside out. It will have lost hundreds of pounds of fat, but nearly no lean muscle when it comes out in the spring. A finely adjusted machine, prepared to start up again. And food is the key to that fresh start. We've discussed the what, but the grizzly's genius is revealed in the how. They are extremely skilled in addition to being powerful. Consider going salmon fishing. Some bears will use their eyes to locate a fish while snorkeling. Others favor the high-risk, high-reward approach, where they stand atop a waterfall and catch fish as they fly. It takes years to become proficient at this timing game. They use the terrain to their advantage when hunting elk, driving a herd towards a precipitous embankment to confuse them and split a calf from its mother. Although it is an act of explosive power, strategy directs it, a top-tier ambush predator. A grizzly bear is so much more than just an animal when you consider its long history, profound spiritual connection, raw power, remarkable biological intelligence, and motherly devotion. It's a gauge of something that we are gravely risking losing. It's a gauge of the wildness itself. A complete landscape is one that can still sustain grizzly bears. It boasts complete, functional ecosystems, healthy forests, and clean water. The best proof that we have saved a portion of the world as it was intended to be. Their existence on the land ultimately reflects our own. It's a tale of struggle, but it can also be one of salvation, discovering that real strength lies in figuring out how to live in harmony with nature rather than trying to control it. We are responsible for the grizzly bear's future, regarding whether we are wise enough and humble enough to make room for a king in this world. I appreciate you joining me on this journey today. Which aspect of the grizzly's tale most appeals to you? Please share your thoughts in the comments section below. I would truly appreciate it. The best way to show your support for this channel is to hit the like button and subscribe if you think these stories are worth sharing. You won't realize how much it helps. Show interest, show kindness, and never stop being amazed by this amazing world of ours. See you at the next one.